Well, Reform UK, of course, previously the Brexit Party, having officially had approval for the name change, for the rebrand, held their first public, of course, virtual event today, focusing on the Scottish elections and what the Reform Party intends to do in Scotland, unveiling the defection of an MSP, former Conservative, Scottish Conservative Party leadership contender, no less. Interesting times. I'm going to bring you all the very latest in this report, guys. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss future reports. And of course, give this video a big thumbs up. Would really appreciate your support. Now, Richard Tice, the chairman, off the event, and I must say, you know, I was quite impressed by the production values. I'm going to show you a few clips and stuff from what happened today. But I was quite impressed by the production values. There was multiple cameras. They had journalists ask questions. It was all done quite seamlessly, quite professional. So that obviously bodes well, I think, for the Reform Party in terms of an organisational capability. Came across quite well, I think. Interested to know your comments below when I play the clips in a minute. But Richard Tice, in terms of, firstly, what he was talking about, setting out the Reform Party's agenda. He's talking about things like reforming the approach to the pandemic, cutting taxes for faster growth. He talked about the things like the £100 million BBC diversity spending, and of course he talked a lot about the union, because this particular event had a focus on Scotland. So just so you can see what type of event this was, if you didn't see it at the time, here's a clip of Richard Tice speaking now.
We believe there's an important role for Reform UK as a political party to encourage common sense, to encourage open, fresh, fair debate. And as a United Kingdom, we should be excited by the huge opportunities that lie ahead of us. And as a union, we should be enthusiastic of the newly restored freedoms that we can take advantage of. And as we face the elections, hopefully in May across the whole of the UK, I'm really pleased to announce today the launch of our Scottish party, Reform UK Scotland. Now, Reform UK Scotland, in the spirit of devolution, of course, will have its own management board, its own staff. It'll have the autonomy to decide policy on devolved matters and to select Scottish candidates to meet the needs of Scotland. And that's why I'm absolutely delighted that Michelle Ballantyne, MSP, has agreed to lead Reform UK Scotland. Michelle currently sits as an independent MSP in Holyrood, having resigned from the Scottish Party, the Scottish Conservative Party, last year. And their loss is our gain. Michelle will be taking charge of running Reform UK Scotland with immediate effect.
So the idea with Reform UK Scotland seems to be that it's going to have its own management board. And MSP Michelle Ballantyne was unveiled as the essentially going to be leading that effort for the Reform Party in Scotland. Of course, it's interesting because in the Scottish Parliament, I looked earlier, the Scottish Greens have had a couple of seats there before, off only about 4 to 4.5% of the vote. So it's possible with the voting system, the electoral system for the Scottish Parliament, via that system, you know, if you can get 4 or 5% of the vote, you can pick up seats. As I said, Michelle Ballantyne formally contested the leadership of the Scottish Conservatives and setting out her agenda. Here's a taster of what she had to say.
I have no doubt that many of you will be thinking that starting a party in Scotland is a monumental task, and without a doubt it is. But politics is about people and how government affects their lives. This last year has been catastrophic for many people. COVID-19 has been the worst virus most of us have ever known, and it's left many families grieving for loved ones. Entrepreneurs have seen their life's work ruined, and thousands have lost their jobs. And our children face uncertain futures as schools are shut again and mental health problems multiply. Now, as the UK government has borrowed to mitigate the consequences of the COVID strategy, the unanswered questions remain as to how this is going to be paid for. While the Scottish government has made its priority harnessing the misery of the pandemic to force a constitutional vote. Scotland needs an exit strategy, not just out of COVID, but to recover from lockdowns. Children need to get back to school, and healthcare needs to be fully open. and human beings need to be able to interact socially. But we must not forget that even before COVID struck, there were deep-rooted problems within the public sector services in Scotland. Here are a few reminders. Curriculum for excellence with falling standards. The Edinburgh Sick Kids Hospital that didn't open when it was supposed to. NHS waiting times targets missed. BIFAB, Ferguson Shipyards, Prestwick Airport, the government getting involved in the private sector with no idea what they're doing. It is clear to many of us that government and service delivery in Scotland needs reforming.
So it'll be interesting, mine. It'll be interesting to see, actually, if these May elections go ahead. I've previously talked about the increasing speculation and rumours that, of course, we had a lot of elections delayed last year for a year that are all set to take place in May, along with the likes of the Scottish Parliament and the Welsh Parliament. Speculation as to whether these elections will even take place. Let's wait and see on that front. But Nigel Farage, of course, also speaking out about today's development of this defection of the MSP, Michelle Ballantyne. Here's what Nigel had to say.
So the Reform Party is up and running. We got last week confirmation from Elcom. The Brexit Party is no more. It did its job, I'm very pleased to say. But reform, well, that's about a much bigger agenda. It's about how we're governed. But it's also about the fact that we don't have enough debate. Now, of course, in Scotland, there is a debate between those that want to separate from the United Kingdom and be part of the European Union and those who want the union to survive. But on virtually everything else, debate has ceased. There is no opposition coming from the Scottish Conservatives or anybody else to the SNP's woke agenda. Well, somebody who is prepared to stand up quite fearlessly and have open, genuine, democratic debate and conversation is Michelle Ballantyne. As you know, she's an MSP and she's prepared to stand up and to fight. And for that reason, I'm delighted that she's coming on board with the Reform Party. I'm hoping she'll spearhead the campaign for the Scottish Parliament this year, though I don't really think those elections are going to happen. So, Michelle, welcome. And there's now going to be a voice in the Scottish Parliament that will stand up and say, hang on a second, let's think about this. I wish her well. She's got all of our support.
So let me know in the comments below, guys. Is the Reform Party a party that you will consider voting for? Is it a party that you're going to support? What do you want to see from this party? Let me know what you make of all of this, guys. Really keen to hear from you in the comments below. And as ever, if you've enjoyed this report, if you found it helpful and informative, please do give this video a big thumbs up. And you can support my work, of course, by hitting the join button down below. See the link in the top pinned comment to get the members badge next to your name. And of course, guys, as ever, thanks so much for watching.